This is the PR Podcast, a show about how public relations helps you tell your story to the world. We talk with great PR practitioners who have the skills, creativity, and just plain savvy to get their clients noticed. Now here's your host, Jody Fisher.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the PR Podcast. I'm Jody Fisher. Thanks for joining us. Well, have you got yourself a PR podcast plug yet? It's our weekly announcement right here at the top of the podcast where we plug your passion project. It could be your blog, it could be your book, it could be your own podcast. It's the thing that you do kind of on the side, right? It's not your main line of business. It's the thing that brings you joy, right? It's the thing you do because even though you're not getting paid for it, right? And if you know me at all, you know that I love to shout out people who are doing great work. So this is your opportunity. Send us a DM at the PR Podcast on Twitter. If we're not connected, we will connect on Twitter, and then you could send the DM. But drop us a line and let us know so we can plug your passion project on an upcoming episode. Now on to our guest. Let's get right into the show. Nicole Rodrigues is CEO and founder of NRPR Group, an award-winning exclusive public relations and marketing firm serving game changers and disruptors around the world. Headquartered in California with team members around the country, they've developed and executed strategic campaigns for Yahoo, Dolby, Sony PlayStation, Hulu, and the Oakland Raiders. Nicole has been recognized as a leader in her industry, named one of PR News's top 50 game changers in public relations, as well as Bulldog Reporter's Gold Public Relations Professional of the Year in 2017. Her second company, Young Dreamers, and this is really interesting to me, takes her to local schools to talk with students about setting goals, building their personal brands, and persevering through life's ups and downs. I think we could all use that. Nicole, welcome to the PR Podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the warm welcome.
You bet. And thanks for spending some time with us. What does it take to work with big name brands like you've worked with Yahoo and Hulu and all that?
Oh, that is a really, really great question. I'll tell you, one of them is experience. They can smell someone who doesn't know what they're talking about, right? So experience, absolutely. And I'll tell you that with you also have to have a really confident team, right? A team that understands that it's never going to just be one person. With Hulu, it's like it's a mini army. With Yahoo, it was the same thing. You need to have the right team with enough experience to be able to sit with executives who are making big visible decisions, right? They're not making decisions that are going to be behind the curtain that no one's going to notice, like a small startup. When they're making big decisions and they need to make, how do I say this? They need to make waves. They need to know confidently that the strategy that they're being given is right, and that the people who are helping them make these decisions know how to look at the business as a whole, not just look at the project. So with Hulu, when I was doing work with them, we were actually launching their first original series, and this was something they were nervous about, right? We're getting into original content. What do we do? So the strategy there was take a look at the 7 different originals that were there basically at the top of, the very first time that they were doing originals. So we had this package. We had a couple of animated series, there was a Western, there was a comedy, right? And what do you do with the talent behind those, right? What do you do to bring them into the media? Because we had people like Eva Longoria, who it was her one of her animated series. You should talk about why Hulu is the great platform that you want your animated series on first, right? And so we had to set a strategy that not only got them in front of the right media, but also utilized all the tools for them in the right way at the right time, so that they would not only feel like they were confidently making the right decisions, but the outcome was successful. So yeah.
And you talk about having the right team members with the right skills, and we all, if we run a PR business in any way, even if we're a freelancer, right, we're tapping into other people's skills. How do you develop that team, especially one that can be located across a wide geographic area? I mean, you're working coast to coast.
Yeah, that is a really, really great question as well. So what I look for is, with any successful campaign or PR, whatever, you've got to look at, your top of the line strategists, right? The people who have the most experience. Are we strategists that also know how to get into the trenches and do the work? I don't need a bunch of senior people who are going to say, well, this is my opinion and good luck, everybody who's physically executing. No.
Yeah, peace out, right?
Yeah, exactly. We need to be the people who are having those tough conversations with the client about making last minute decisions, making the big decisions on who's going to get an exclusive. People who have been in the trenches, know what it's like, and will stay there with the team to make sure that the execution is flawless, right? So it takes that sort of layer is a very, very important layer. And I'll say that at NRPR, my senior people are all people I've worked with at other firms or other companies or whatever for years. So we know each other and we know each other's strengths, weaknesses, and skill sets. So that is really, really important. The other thing is that middle layer of, I call it the pitch army. You have got to have people that you physically, right? The senior people have come in and trained well, because we can pitch. Right? I've been doing this 22 years. I can still pitch, but my job isn't just to pitch, right? I'm going to pitch some people because I have friendly relationships, but I am supposed to lead strategy, keep the clients and the team calm and focused. We need a pitch army that really knows how to execute. So we always make sure that we take a look at the strengths of the pitch army. You have entertainment experience. You have animation experience. You have this kind of experience. Let's set that middle like a cake. Put that middle layer in and make it strong. And then you also have to have strong administrative staff. Those people who are looking for the hits. The people who are looking for more targets. We need more targets, guys. We've run out. We've pitched everybody, which is like, that's amazing, right? So you've got to make sure that as you're pulling each client team together, that you're looking at what the client needs from a
sounds holistic to me, right?
Yeah. And then every layer of that cake understands how they function and how to make it sweet. You know what I mean? So that's really what we look at and how we put our teams together.
And how are you, I guess, how are you defining the strategy when you talk to the clients? You know, so much of when I communicate with clients, I even go so far as to put it in the contract to say that the client needs to play an active role in this, right? Because many clients, especially those who are not used to working with a PR firm, may think it's like, well, we do that initial meeting and the brainstorming and then you go away and you just get me in the newspaper. And it's not that at all, right? It's active. It's weekly, if not multiple times a week, right? It's regular conference calls. It's being available because some call came in, or it's we see this opportunity, but we need to jump on it today. It's sort of that active conversation. How do you navigate that with your clients?
You are singing to me right now, by the way. That is exactly how it should be done. And any executive, CEO, or whatever who doesn't see it in that way, they're not going to be as successful, right? Like, even Steve Jobs had a really close relationship with his media relations person at all times, right? And, you know,
well, Steve Jobs got it, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
he got
the performance element of what PR is.
Totally. And, you know, then there are clients that, yeah, well, you know, I'm too busy building technology. Okay, well, you're the CEO acting as the CTO. You need to hand the technology part to somebody else. Your job is to shake the hands, kiss the babies, be available for TV media when they want you, right? Like, that is part of your role, to be that front person. If you can't be, you got to give me your COO or someone that Bloomberg is going to want to talk to, right? They're not going to want to talk to your I don't know, your IT guy, right?
Your engineer, yeah, right. Yeah, the engineer is brilliant. And they can tell you all about the whiz-bang thing that they built, but they may not be the right person to deliver the corporate message.
That's right. The vision plus get into some of those technical aspects. So if a client is not willing to play an active role, and we see that over time, we'll actually let them go. I am very, very big on partnership, because all of our clients that give us a point person who's available, who will answer questions, that will make sure that the CEO shows up to interviews if the CEO can't always be on the biweekly or weekly calls, right? So someone who's going to hold them accountable, and then the CEO shows up, that is a dream, right? And it's the same thing with celebrities. Being in LA, you have access to celebrities who also need crisis comms. They need, sometimes they're venturing into their own businesses. Don't big time me. I'm here to help you. I don't care if your name is on billboards. If I can't hear from you what your vision is, how we map success is based on your business objectives. If I don't know your business objectives, then I'm going to get you vanity press. That doesn't feel good. I don't want to just get you press that's just going to feed your ego. Like we want to get you press that's going to feed your business and keep growing that. So how do we look at that as a whole? And so you can definitely tell celebrities or executives that are more ego driven versus actually business driven. We want to work with the ones that are business driven, because the ones that are ego driven are way more sensitive. Well, how come the New York Times didn't say yes, but Wall Street Journal did? Are you complaining that you got Wall Street Journal and not
really? You're going there?
Are you for real right now, man? Like, your mom's not proud of you right now? Like, so to me, it's like, these are all the things that, we need to take into account, because, at the end of the day, we're in the image business. So we need to make sure that our clients are in it for the right reasons.
And what I'm hearing there too is more evidence of why the PR person needs the direct line to the CEO, to
Yes.
the top person in the company. It's not vanity. It's not because we want access to the top person. It's because we need that access, because we need that information, because if nothing else, our business serving other people thrives on information and vision and being able to execute what the CEOs, I'm just using CEO, it could be the top person, where that company is going, where that organization is headed, what they want to accomplish. That can only come from the top. Yep.
You are absolutely right, because as they're delivering their visionary statements to the executive board and whatever, if there's a disjointed message, or their goals are over here and we actually don't know what they are, then it's like having a tricycle and one wheel that's constantly squeaking and going out this way, and it's not our fault. It's like, we're going to try to do our best, but we're that wheel that you're looking at like, how come it's doing that? Well, you need to get the tools, bring it in, because we keep asking to be fixed, and put it together. Or you know what? We don't want to keep taking your money. It doesn't feel good.
Yeah, we're Nemo with the little fin swimming in a circle.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh my God.
Let's now segue over to metrics. This is a big conversation that we have in PR, right? And in terms of how we report our success and our client's success to the client in a way that they can understand it and appreciate it. There are lots of different ways to do this. I'm interested in the way that you approach this. Maybe start philosophically first, and then maybe how tactically you do it.
I love it. So philosophically, there are more than a dozen ways to measure success, and not all of that is quantifiable, right? So looking at the goal for PR in general is to create awareness, to help people almost like get on board with what that message is and feel like they can connect, right? You can't attach yourself to people's emotions and be like, whoa, we just made Mary Sue really like you. You know what I mean? So what is it that we can measure? So one of the things, baseline, is sheer volume. At the bare bones minimum, you were a startup that didn't exist. You went from having 0 press in your whole life to having 15 press hits in a month. You went from not being known to being known. And at the base core, like, that's the most simple way to measure whether or not the PR stuff has worked. Did we actually just get you coverage, right? The next is to take a look and say, this is what it did for you, right? Looking at your like Google Analytics. When people clicked on this story from this regional TV outlet, did they go to your website? And if they did, what did they do on your website? Did they go and they ask for more information, or did they email you? So that connection, creating that bridge between awareness and action, that's like that next level up in terms of, did this even work? We got people to interact with you that would have otherwise never known to do that, right? Then the next is, looking at just reach in general, right? Looking at little basic things like impressions. These are people that, again, didn't have access. So you want to make sure that that's in there. I know a lot of marketers will use impressions, but for me, it's never just that. It's always, that's a piece of it and it needs to be there so that we can see what the reach is so that we can keep improving it. But the most important part is the actual interaction. Next, did you get a phone call? Did you get a phone call from someone who would have otherwise not called you that can write you a check or introduce you to someone who will write you a check? That is success as well. So I always ask my clients, after a big launch, after a big announcement, what phone calls did you get? We're putting that in our report.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, you know what? The CTO of Amazon or whatever, there was a client that literally was brand new, no announcements, nothing. We announced their funding in the first beta of their technology, right? They got a phone call from a director level person at Amazon. Hey, I just saw this on LinkedIn. One of my friends shared your article. This looks impressive. Can we talk? I put that in the report.
There you go. There
right?
you go.
So
yeah.
little things like that, and then some other old school ways ad value. You would have paid $3 million in advertising for the X amount that you spent on your PR retainer for earned media coverage. That's always a nice contrast to have. Did you want to spend $3 million or the $30,000 that you spent on the PR?
Right.
So
yeah, I do a similar thing. I do cobble together reports that include things like impressions and ad value and stuff, because those are numbers that people can kind of wrap their brains around.
Yeah.
And it kind of gives them a feel for, all right. But what I always say is what you said, which is, even though PR is not designed to generate sales, and you can't draw a straight line from an article to your cash register, you should be able to see a bump. Yes. You should be able to see, like you said, your phone ring, yep, or your website analytics jump, or yep, some kind of other factor like that. What a bad example of that, I guess, is when I had a client that, long story short, we were launching a product. Mm-hmm. And we had them on morning TV in New York City. They talked about their product. It was very cool. It was very fun. They literally got off the live hit and their phone started ringing. And the phone kept ringing through to the next hit a half an hour later. That's when it all just fires on all cylinders. But more often than not, it's what you and I are talking about, which is there's this sort of, you need to look externally from that. Yeah. Right. And see the activity that's in your regular course of business, or just that phone call, like you said, from that influential person.
Absolutely. Yeah. My favorite was, there was also another technology company, brand new. My favorite was that they were like, how come we're not in the New York Times or Wall Street Journal? I'm like, you haven't announced any funding, first of all. And they care about companies that are being given money because the investors are trusting them. So that's one. But we got them in a crazy amount of trade publications, for multiple sclerosis and, cerebral palsy, all of this. Now, these guys on average were getting 2 inquiries every other month from potential patients because they weren't FDA approved yet or certified, or they didn't get that seal of approval yet. So we made a pre-FDA approval announcement about the data and what they'd been doing and the progress that they're making, so that there's something, we're just laying the groundwork, right? And they're like, okay, well, yeah, go get us some press. Okay, so you're going to go from non-existent. It was the trades that were just way interested. We went to the Wall Street Journal, we went to New York Times, but we were also realistic in how much we wanted to push that. I want to put this on your radar in case there's something that you're working on. If not, I'm not going to be a pest because I am realistic, right? Mm-hmm. 200 inbound on day one, and it kept going from potential patients, from potential people who could use the product, who are hungry to get on their newsletter, which they didn't have. And they said, you know what you need? A freaking newsletter. You have people now interested in your product that were never interested before. So before guess what the Wall Street Journal wants to know? How much are you selling? How much revenue are you generating? Yeah. How much have you raised in terms of funding? So if you want the Wall Street Journal, guess what just happened? The first step in getting that, which is inbound and people who are eventually going to pay for your product. So it's just one of those things where we understand and we know, and sometimes clients don't understand, but I'm like, that's a win for you, bro. That is a massive win. They're like, yeah, we can't keep up with all the inbound that we're getting. And I'm like, you're welcome.
Exactly right. Exactly
Yes.
right. That's a fantastic story.
Yes.
Well, I feel like you and I could talk about this forever,
Yes.
but I do want to talk a little bit about Make It Happen.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, and the Young Dreamers, right? So tell me about that project, sort of how it gets started and what you do there.
Yeah. So I think, and you could probably, you'll hopefully understand that, when you've been doing PR long enough to where you feel good about what you've done, what else is next, right? Like what else am I going to do to contribute to the world? I feel like through my work experience, I help a lot of companies, from big companies like Hulu size to brand new startups that didn't exist before. That's that side of things. How am I helping society? How am I helping young people? I am one of 9 children, right? My mom was 16 when she had me. By society's standards, I wasn't supposed to make it, right? I was supposed to be some maybe like cracked out single mom living on the streets. You know what I mean? Like the young mom has a kid and whatever. You know what I mean? Most people are
In
like,
a van down by the river, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Saturday Night Live. Yes. Anyways, I love it. So my mom was always one of those, like, and my dad was a professional boxer. So, he was an athlete who, after being an athlete, didn't get into the corporate world. My mom didn't get into the corporate world. She got her bachelor's degree, for God's sakes, at the age of 42, because she was having kids, like she was doing what she thought in that generation. My mom is a boomer, in that generation, what was right. So for me, having grown up in a household where college wasn't really the discussion, but it was what I wanted to do. My grandparents were talking to me about college over my parents. My parents were just kind of like, just be a good kid and don't get into trouble. And you find that with social media and everything now, I am a mom right now, and I see what my daughter is going through with social media and online bullying. And she and I had a discussion one day while she was in middle school about what it was like for me to go to school and to struggle through that and, go to college and make it, versus what her generation is going through with their self-esteems are just being bashed on a daily basis. They are looking at the Kardashians and wondering why their bodies aren't perfect. They're looking at different social media influencers and wondering why their makeup is so perfect. And I'm like, it's called Facetune, honey. It's not, and then they're not being nice to each other. So my thing was, I talked to, my daughter's name is Yvette, and her dad's last name is with a G. So, she kept the YG. So I was like, so daughter 1 is YG and kid 2 will be YD, Young Dreamers. And this is where I'm going to come out. She says, Mom, I wish that my friends were able to talk to their parents who would break it down as easy as you do, like you and Dad, right? You and Dad will just like, look, here's what's up. If a guy wants to talk to you, you know what? Tell him, take a cold shower. You're not his experiment, okay? That's literally what I tell my daughter, right? You're not anyone's science experiment. You wait until he knows what he's doing with his life, right? So she's like, man, I wish some of my friends could hear from you. And I said, well, why don't I go and talk to them? And so that's where it started with going into schools and saying, we created journals, because I'm a big journaler, that say, make it happen on the front. It's like, whatever that dream is, go make it happen. And that's where the Young Dreamers started.
That's fantastic. And I love that you're engaging with young people. I have a similar experience. My daughter is even younger, and I can see the nastiness that is going around, and it blows my mind.
It's hard.
And these, I'm not trying to single out girls, but I mean, I see it with the boys too. It blows my mind that they're that young, and they got it from somewhere.
Oh yeah.
And and you know their parents, and their parents are nice people. So you know it ain't coming from them. And you're like, wow, this needs to get fixed.
Immediately, right? Yeah.
Yes. So tell me about that. Now you go into schools and you chat with kids, assembly style. How's that working?
Yeah, there are like 3 different formats. One is assembly style, which is super fun. I love doing that because you can go in. I even show pictures of myself from junior high to now, and it's kind of like she had crooked teeth, curly, crazy hair, and, could dress a little bit, right? But like compared to now, I'm a CEO. I'm also a mom. I'm all of these people. I was an NFL cheerleader. Tell them I was an NFL cheerleader after I graduated college. But these were all things that I did this when people were trying to tell me, well, you have crooked teeth. You need to blah, blah. I begged my mom for braces, right? But it's like, look, guys, who I was here at the core of who I am is still the same. But here's me in the world that, like, this is me bringing my best self because I have all the ability to do it. I don't have to rely on my parents to beg them for braces because I can work hard and take care of that myself. So don't think that the end of the line is here and that if you aren't looking like a model on TV, that this is the last look you're ever going to have. And helping them really see where this is time for you to grow as a human being and to basically commit, right? So it's like having that, it's really cool. I also have someone who comes in with me. Her name's Desiree Garrido. We went to high school together. And so we do this little skit where it's like she's bouncing her soccer ball, right? And I go and I take it, and it represents confidence. I'll be like, give me that soccer. You're not even good. You're like not even good at it. First of all, and your hair is weird, which makes you not a good soccer player. And Desiree will come in and be like, you know what? I like my hair. I like my shoes. I like the way I dress. Give me that soccer ball. This is mine. The only way to shut down a bully is to make sure that, one, you're not bullying yourself and that you're not allowing their thoughts about you to get into your head. So that's always really fun. And then we have smaller style where it's, it could be 20 or 30, like a classroom. And we go in and we do more like workshops about what music makes you feel good. What music makes you feel bad? Why not listen to more of this when you're not feeling good? These are free tools that they have at their disposal right away to make better decisions to keep them up here. So those are things that we'll do in a small classroom setting. And then, of course, now with COVID, doing a lot more Zooms and little just, Q&As and one-on-ones like that.
That is terrific. I think we can't have enough positive voices out there for young people because they are under so much, I'll call it bombardment from external forces that are just working against them. And it's kind of like they're, bad analogy, like they're running uphill in the sand, when they're just the ground is just shifting underneath their feet. So I applaud you in that, and I wish you a lot of luck taking care of those kids because, like I said, they can all use it.
Yeah. No,
this has been a great conversation, Nicole. Thank you so much. We are going to segue now into the rapid fire question portion of our podcast. This is when we steal a page from inside the actor studio. We ask our guests a series of rapid fire questions. Just a simple answer, 1 or 2, gut reaction. Here we go. Rapid fire question number 1. What is your favorite news source?
Cheddar.
Cheddar. Oh, that's a good one. Okay. What types of we're gonna jump out of the questions here. What types of clients do you get on Cheddar, and where are the most opportunities there?
Yeah, mostly the up and coming tech startups, the ones that are already, they've maybe raised a seed round and they're going into Series A, or they've had a Series A, they're going into Series B. They're already creating some traction, and also celebrities who are launching tech companies or really meaningful consumer product companies. So those are the clients that we usually get on Cheddar. What I like about Cheddar in general is it's kind of like, I don't know, it's coming at you as more human in terms of that financial news, what's going on in the industries. So CNBC was like my go-to, and I still love CNBC in a lot of ways, but Cheddar is the one that I'll keep on in the background and keep that going now.
All right. Rapid fire question number 2. What's your favorite social media platform?
Snapchat.
Really? You're on Snapchat? Okay. Go ahead.
It's strange, I'm sure, because it is my favorite way to like communicate with my daughter too.
That makes
I
sense.
got onto Snap, because, she was on it and I was really curious about all of it, but I just feel like it's fun. I don't have to think about it. There's like less thinking. I put something up, I add a Bitmoji to it, and that's it. And then it goes away. I don't have to worry about what it looks like later or whatever. Yeah.
There's no
Like,
record.
how does my
There's
feed
no
look?
record.
I don't even, yeah. I haven't posted to Instagram in almost 2 years since I started my MBA because it takes too much thought. So I'm sure maybe when my MBA is done, I'll get back to maybe posting things
Well,
on
the first
Instagram.
one you can post is the graduation, right?
Like, hey
Photo.
guys,
The
this is
MBA
where I went
graduation.
for 2 years. Yeah,
There you
exactly.
go. I'm back. I'm back.
I'm back. Yeah.
All right. This is the longest rapid fire question portion of the podcast, and this is my fault. I apologize. So here we go with rapid fire question number 3: coffee or alcohol?
Coffee. Used to be alcohol. I mean, hey, I remember my 20s and 30s. It was all great, but now it's like I need to run a company, must stay awake. So,
Rapid fire question number 4: what is your favorite on the run food?
okay, this is a bad answer. It's usually nothing because when I'm on the run, I'm not thinking about food. It's a really, really bad habit of mine. So, it's usually just water. I will carry water around with me. And if it's on the run and I'm starving, I will grab whatever is closest at that point to eat.
All right, strap it all down because she's coming.
Yeah, exactly.
Rapid fire question number 5: what do you want to be after you finish this career?
I want to be the fairy godmother at Disneyland, passing out little candies and little things to kids where I can clock in and clock out, be in the happiest place on earth, and then go home. No joke. I keep joking with my team about it. I'm like, the second someone can come and take the CEO position from me to where I have enough money to just live, I am going to go and be the freaking fairy godmother over at Disneyland. That's what I'm going to do.
We are always on. We are always on. That's.
I'm tired.
Yeah. Well, this has been a really fun conversation, Nicole. Let people know how they can find you online.
Yep. The easiest thing is at Nicole RPR across all my social handles to get in front of me or get in touch with me. To look up NRPR, it's at NRPR Group across every social channel. So you can find us easily there. We just keep the branding very simple, or www.nrprgroup.com or www.beverlyhillsboss.com, which is the website for my book. I wrote a book about starting the agency and being the oldest of 9, some of the things that we talked about here and how to persevere and why we got into starting Young Dreamers. All of that basically is also inside the book. So a lot of people can learn more about me on that website as well, or ydmakeithappen.com, which is Young Dreamers.
Fantastic. We will post all those links with the episode as well. Thank you so much, Nicole, for spending time with us today. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Please remember to subscribe to the show, connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at The PR Podcast, and send us a question or a comment. Our intro is by Christopher Appold. You can find him and his fantastic photography on Instagram at Christopher_APPOLDT. Check him out there and hire him for all your photography needs. You can find me online at Jody Fisher on all the socials and on the web at jodyfisherpr.com. We'll see you next time on the PR Podcast.